Do you think you need to earn a massive monthly paycheck to become a millionaire? No, you don't. Ever heard of the story of the janitor with an $8 million fortune? Let me introduce you to Ronald Reed, a normal old man, just like anyone else, a retired gas station attendant and later a janitor in Vermont. Nobody thought he was some big-shot millionaire. But when he passed away in 2015, guess what? His estate was worth a whopping $8 million. How did he get that? Did he win a jackpot? No. He grew up in a humble farming family in Vermont. He didn't have a fancy car or an Ivy League degree. He walked about 4 miles to high school every day, and he was the first in his family to graduate from high school. Then World War II came calling, and he enlisted in the Army, serving as a military policeman in Italy. After his honorable discharge in 1945, he returned to Brattleboro, Vermont, where he worked as a gas station attendant and mechanic for about 25 years. But here's where it gets interesting. After a year of retirement, Ronald Reed decided, why not try something new? He took a part-time job as a janitor at JCPenney, and he kept at it for 17 years, until 1997. When he left this world, he bequeathed his wealth to his family, friends, Brooks Memorial Library, and Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. The $1.2 million he donated to the library and the $4.8 million to the Brattleboro Memorial Hospital was the largest sum the institution ever received. It was unbelievable. Funny enough, they all noted that the old man had a special morning routine, a cup of coffee and an English muffin with peanut butter at the hospital cafe. Alan Smith, a friend of his, noted that he always sat on the same stool at the counter. Here's the real question. How did he become so wealthy with a non-traditional career path? Let's break down the secrets behind his success. First, it's all about having the right mindset. Ronald knew he didn't need to be a finance guru to make it big in the stock market. He followed the advice of the legendary Warren Buffett, who said you don't need to put in an extraordinary effort. Just do everyday things exceptionally well. Ronald understood the rules of investing and took a slow and steady approach. Ronald didn't freak out when the stock market had its roller coaster moments. He weathered the storm during events like the Great Recession of 1974-75, the crazy inflation of the late 1970s and the early 1980s, the stock market crash of 1987, the recession in the early 1990s, the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, and even the chaos of 9/11 and the banking mess of 2007. No wonder he invested with understanding. And that was the major secret of his success. He invested with understanding. Ronald wasn't just throwing darts at random stocks. He knew what he was doing. He had many big-name companies in his portfolio, like Procter & Gamble, J.P. Morgan Chase, General Electric, and Dow. And he wasn't flipping stocks like pancakes. He held on to them for ages. He also invested in companies like AT&T, J.M. Smucker, CVS Health, Bank of America, General Motors, Deere, and Johnson & Johnson. You don't have to be a stock market wizard. You can do pretty well when you keep things simple. You can invest in broad market index funds. These funds track big-time stock indices like the S&P 500, which includes the 500 mightiest companies in America. They usually outperform most fancy mutual fund so-called financial geniuses. As of 2019, the S&P 500 outdid 90% of those big-shot mutual funds over 15 years. The Wall Street Journal did a deep dive into Reed's investment portfolio after he passed away, and it was a sight to behold. He held on to his stocks for years, some even for decades, and they brought in some serious returns. When he passed away, he owned around 95 different stocks. Ronald's story proves you can build wealth in the stock market in the long run, even if you're not a finance guru. Just take a page from his book, keep a level head, and stick to your investing path through thick and thin. Another major secret of his is frugality. If frugality was a personality, it should be old Ronald. He didn't spend cash unless he absolutely had to. He lived below his means in a way that makes frugality look like a sport. He drove an old, reliable Toyota Yaris, used safety pins to keep his coat in one piece, and didn't dine at fancy restaurants. He had his inexpensive breakfasts at the hospital cafe. When he visited his lawyer, he'd park far away to avoid feeding the parking meter. Now, that's some real commitment to saving those nickels and dimes. And his idea of fun? chopping wood. Not only did it keep him fit, but it also saved him some extra bucks on heating. He didn't buy a gazillion books, he used the local library. You don't need to go all the way like Ronald, but some frugality can go a long way in building your wealth. And it's pretty simple when you think about it. If you spend less than you earn, you'll have more money to invest. Ronald's buddy and neighbor Mark Richards said, quote, "I'm sure if he earned $50 in a week, he probably invested $40 of it," unquote. That's some serious dedication to saving and investing. Also, he was an extremely patient fellow. You wonder what that has to do with wealth creation, right? He watched his wealth grow for many decades, thanks to the magic of compounding. Even when he hit the $1 million mark, he still never touched his money. Now, let me ask you, can you keep some money aside, untouched, for decades? He didn't constantly flip stocks like a pancake chef. He kept them for the long haul, which is a smart move because it lets your investments grow like a money-making tree. Of course, you have to keep an eye on your stocks, and if they're not playing nice anymore, it's okay to sell them, but you should be able to discern when a stock has hit rock bottom. In addition to that, he invested in dividend-paying stocks. Ronald understood the power of cash flow, and he explored it. He didn't just invest in stocks, he invested in dividend-paying stocks. Those are like the golden geese of the stock world. Studies have shown that companies paying dividends perform better than the ones that don't. Interestingly, those dividends keep getting fatter over time. And that's the kind of magic card Ronald Read had in his investing wallet. Plus, he didn't retire early. Now, if you dream of retiring early and becoming a millionaire, you might need to rethink that. Ronald didn't retire early. In fact, he retired at 76. That steady income stream from working meant he always had some extra cash to throw into his investments. He even tried the early retirement gig once, but realized it was not something he could do. This doesn't mean you should keep working your bones out till you can no longer stand on your feet. It means you should build substantial wealth first before considering retirement. Ronald worked for 17 more years as a janitor after he got to the retirement age at his gas station attendant job. If he had stayed without working, he might not have had that much after he eventually retired. Lastly, he was also a lifelong learner. There were no online coaches or YouTube videos during his time, yet Ronald made the most of his local library and was a regular reader of the Wall Street Journal. The more you know about investing in personal finances, the better you'll be at it. Ronald Read's story is a prime example that true wealth isn't about flaunting designer clothes or having a fancy white-collar job. It's all about mastering the art of managing your money and making it work for you. The goal is to build a financial fortress so that you can pass on wealth to your children, not leave them with your financial burdens as you age. So skip the flashy labels and focus on building lasting wealth for yourself and your loved ones. I hope you found this video helpful and learned something from it. And remember to keep making smart financial choices. One of those choices is subscribing to this channel so you can keep boosting your financial know-how with our informative videos. See you in the next one.